Okay, so I have my Teams app on my iPhone. If you have a tablet or another smartphone and you're able to download the Teams app, it should look the same. There's that white app icon with the T and the purple logo on the bottom right there. It also shows a number 1. That's a notification, so I know that there's something waiting for me when I open up the chat or open up Teams. So when I open up, it first shows my call history. Really, it'll just default to the last screen that you were on when you were using Teams last. So I was on my call screen. So if I start here, I can just kind of briefly explain what this is. As you have calls with individuals or groups, this just keeps a log of those calls. If you have any voicemails through Teams, you'll have them here as well. At the top right, you have a phone icon with a plus sign. If you click on that, you can call someone through Teams, either a video chat or a phone call. You see the 2 icons for those 2 types of calls. Let me go back. On the bottom, that's your main navigation. So you've got activity, chat, Teams, and calendar. So let me keep going to the left. Next to calls, you have calendar. This will sync to your Outlook calendar. So all of your meetings, etc., will all be in here as well. If you see a join button next to a meeting, that means it's a Teams meeting, and there's the option to join right from here. So if you know that you've got a Teams meeting coming up or a virtual meeting, and it's through Microsoft Teams, you can come to this calendar here and simply click on join, and it'll take you to that call. You can also create items in here. If I click on that calendar icon on the top right with the plus sign, I can create a meeting within Teams. This will sync back to your Outlook. So if you open up your PC or laptop, you'll be able to see the meeting that you set up here. But any meeting that you set up in Teams is for a Teams meeting. So just know that when you set this up, it's going to automatically create a Teams link for a video call. Let me cancel that. Next to calendar, I've got Teams. So this is a list of teams that I'm a part of. I'm a part of sales group, book club at FSC, green team, and I have a smaller marketing group for our marketing personnel. If I click on see all teams, and there are other public teams within Freedman, I'm able to see those here. I'm only able to see mine right now. There's a plus sign at the top of this page. If I click on that, I can create a new team, and I can invite people to that team. Before you create a new team, speak to your supervisor, if you're not the manager or supervisor of your department, and see if creating a team makes sense. Maybe there's already a plan to create a team. So what we want to avoid is just everyone going and creating all of these teams. We want them to be focused. We want them to make sense for that group. But by all means, please explore creating teams. Let me click back again. So underneath each of my teams, and I'll explain this in the Lunch and Learn, you have channels. So underneath my sales team, I have 4 channels. The general channel, you'll notice there's a general channel under each team. That's, again, just like a general space. Many teams will only have 1 channel, and you can do all of your communication, you can share files, you can do everything from that 1 channel. But if you feel you need additional channels to sort of separate topics or separate initiatives, you can create these channels within your team. They'll all be accessible by the people that are in your team, but it's just kind of a way to stay organized and keep things separate. So if I click into, let's say, our new products channel underneath sales, I can see that there's some activity here, some different posts that we've been sharing with each other. If I click on files, I can see if there's any files that have been saved underneath this channel. So yes, we have a couple new products, the Commuter 125 and the 2028 headrest. I can see that there's been some documents saved within our teams. And then more would be if you have additional apps that we'll talk about in the Lunch and Learn. Our wiki is sort of a notes section where we can have notes about these new products. So everything that you would access on your PC or laptop, you'll be able to access through your Teams app as well. So next to Teams, on the bottom, I have chat, and you'll see, okay, this is just a list of chats that I have going with different people. I can click on contacts to see some of my recent contacts. You can also separate your contacts in groups. So I have sales and I have other contacts. Favorites are people that I've mostly communicated with or I've recently communicated with. On the top right, I have a pencil icon. I can click on that to start a new chat. So if I wanted to send a chat to one of my recent chats, it'll show, Katerina and Josh. I can also, find Dan and I can send him a chat or anyone else that I'm looking for. Let me go back. Underneath, next to chat, you've got activity. So your activity is just, anything new that's been happening recently. So chats that you have, any mentions that you have. This is sort of your news feed, what's going on related to your team's experience. On the top left, there is a menu. I can click on those 3 bars. That's a menu. And I can see, my name, my picture, my email address. I'm currently listed as available. So if I click on available, I can change my status to busy, do not disturb, away, etc. I have sort of a message that appears for people who chat with me, and that's send me some good news. So that's related to, wanting to hear good news during this crisis. So it's just letting people know that they can send me something. You can kind of put your own status message here if you'd like. For those that are familiar with AOL or AIM, this goes back to online chat rooms and your screen name having a status message attached to it. So you can have some fun with this if you'd like. My notifications are turned on. You certainly want that as well. If you go to settings, you can just kind of play around with some of the different settings that you have within Teams. You can install more apps, and we'll talk about that in the Lunch and Learn. If you have multiple emails, you can also add an account. If you have multiple Outlook email addresses, you can add an account to your Teams and then toggle back and forth to those different email accounts. So that's pretty much it on your iPhone app. We'll get into more information in the Lunch and Learn. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me on Teams.